Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be building a starter team for Rogue Company. There's a lot of new players joining the game, which is fantastic because it's great fun. But there are 18 rogues. Granted, most of them locked. You may be wondering who to start with. So I built this team to be quite versatile. You should be able to use it on attack and on defense. I want to preface this by saying any rogue can be played very, very well if it's in the right hands. Also, some maps will require you to change rogues, but this team should be good enough to handle whatever comes your way. So do let me know if you try it out and start winning, or of course if there's anything you would change. But I think we'll just get into the video. So there are a couple of criteria I'm going to use to be able to build this team. Most maps have a setup for defense where there is one person in the middle of the map, one person on one of the sites, and two people on the most commonly pushed site. Sometimes that varies. Sometimes it's two in the middle and one on each site. Sometimes you just full stack one site, whatever you'd like to do. But most of the time it's that. One on one site, one in the middle, two on the most commonly pushed site. So for this, you need to have two characters that can work quite well on their own and have the ability to slow down an attack, get out of the way very quickly, or get some pretty disgusting multi-kill. When attacking, the most important thing to do as soon as you land on the ground is get that first pick. Someone needs to make that little bit of magic happen in order to get one of the enemy team off of the game. Just get them out. But some characters are particularly well equipped to take a fight, open the play, and get going. A character like this is very important on a team. And of course, on defense, getting the first pick is also very important, but not as important as attack. On defense, you can use util to slow them down, run down the clock, just wait, but the attackers need to make something happen. Another vital component for a beginner or intermediate team is going to be a healer. Once you get the hang of all the nooks and crannies in the map, this may be less important because you'll be able to avoid going down a little bit better. But for most teams, for most players, and to be honest, for my team as well, we like to run a healer, sometimes two. Let me get into the characters I chose and explain why I chose each of them. So the first one to make it onto the team is Dima. The reason Dima is on this team is because of his ability, the MIRV launcher. This launcher has the capacity to hold a site completely on its own for a decent amount of time. If you can down one or even two enemies on entry to a site, then it'll take a while for them to get their teammates up. As well as this, he has an EMP grenade, which will stop any enemies from using abilities, and a frag grenade as well, meaning that Dima can sit a little bit away from a site and still have the potential to down and kill enemies, slowing down or completely stopping a push. His weapons aren't the best. The Mamba is not a great gun in my opinion. The KA-30 is very good though. But Dima is very good at area control and of course has massive pick potential if he's intelligent with placing his MIRV. Normally, Dima will be the character that holds the site with one person on it. The grenade launcher, of course, will work better in enclosed environments, which of course sites tend to be. But he also has a lot of utility for attack as well. That grenade launcher can clear out quite a large space. He has a frag grenade, which is great for an initial pick, and of course can finish an enemy if they're downed and behind cover. In the later rounds, he can get perks like resupply and lifeline, meaning that he can chain kills really, really well. So Dima makes it onto the team. So who's next? Next up on the list is Ronin, my main actually. She is the most versatile character in the game. She can do a little bit of absolutely everything. You can use the ballistic knife as a trap. You can use the ballistic knife as a second grenade by throwing it on the ground and then shooting it. You can even use the ballistic knife as a melee weapon, but it's not very good. And of course, Ronin has the KA-30, which is a solid assault rifle, and the SLC, which is a very, very good SMG. On defense, Ronin is best played on mid most of the time, but she can stop to the site with two people on it, depending on which map you're playing and what weapon she has. Generally, as a recommendation, I would probably say the KA-30 would be better in mid than an SLC due to the longer ranges normally. On attack, Ronin is very, very strong as well. Having both a frag grenade and the ballistic knife is incredible utility for being able to get that first pick. She is able to down someone with a grenade and then throw the ballistic knife to finish them off completely. And she has smoke grenades, which are very useful if you're trying to plan a strategic attack onto a certain site. It is very possible that a well-placed smoke grenade can win a round for your team, so she has to make it into this team. Absolutely has to. Ronin's weakness, however, is her ability to chain kills and take on multiple enemies at once. While she does have access to the 10k perk Replenish, the lack of healing abilities like Life Drain or Bounce Back means she's generally better for taking on 1 or maybe 2 enemies at a time. The third rogue to make the cut will be Saint. As I said, healing is very important in this game, especially for a beginner or intermediate team. Saint's ability is great because you can revive someone from anywhere on the map, but Saint is especially good because of his passive ability, which means that the teammate you're reviving gets back up with 80 health rather than the normal 30. This can be really clutch if it's a risky res and you need to get a kill straight after. And Saint's primary weapon, the Mark IV, is amazing. It is both at good close and long range. Close range, the hip fire is very reliable, but at long range, the recoil is extremely low. I would argue that Saint is better on defense than he is on attack because of his C4 utility, and being able to revive someone from anywhere on the battlefield is generally a bit more useful on defense as you are spread out a bit. But using the C4 as a grenade is very effective as well, and stopping your team from dying is useful no matter what you're doing. Now Saint, I would almost always have play on the site with 2 people on it, so that he has a little bit of protection and is still able to hand res the second person on site if he needs to. But as long as Saint is smart and plays his life, then he can be effective anywhere on the battlefield. Finally on the list, we have Dallas. Dallas is a little bit trickier to get the hang of. Both of his weapons are on the harder side of weapons to use. The DMR is incredible at longer ranges, but the 2-shot potential has a huge advantage. And the HRM, which is still one of my favorite assault rifles, is an absolute beast if you can control the recoil. But the reason Dallas is on this list isn't necessarily for his weapons, it's for his abilities. Dallas is the only info character you get straight away, and his ability Target Finder is super useful in a lot of situations. It reveals 1 enemy, but it's always the closest enemy to Dallas. So if used early in the defense round, you're able to quickly decide whether the enemy is attacking site A or site B. But on attack, his first pick potential is huge. If you play slowly to the site that normally only has 1 person on it, and then you use the target finder, you reveal that player and you can all just go kill him. As well as this, Dallas has an incendiary grenade, which is super useful for a post-plant situation. If you've got a few seconds left and you're not sure whether you can hold, throw the incendiary at the bomb and they won't be able to defuse anyway. So my suggestion for a starter team for your first row company experience would be Dima, Ronin, Saint, and Dallas. I think that gives you a pretty well-rounded set of rogues. As soon as you start unlocking others, you may decide to swap out Dima for Vi, maybe Saint for Dahlia, or maybe Ronin for someone like Chak. But if you're wondering who to main, then hopefully that gives you some ideas to start. If Ronin seems up your street, I did actually make a guide on Ronin, 5 tips to play her quite aggressively. I'll link that up here. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Enjoy this graph as well. Enjoy the rest of your day and subscribe.